Okay, forgive the sound quality and anything else. This is my first upload, and I'm trying to set up a whole thing for this channel called the Red Writing Room. This channel is going to have a lot to do with addiction and recovery, and I will try to remain as as unbiased as possible, but I can't guarantee there won't be some political stuff slip in, or something that people may just not think is a good thing to say or might offend them. But I will try to keep it as non-biased as possible as it comes to my recovery parts. I will keep my, the opinions and things I discuss separate from the recovery bits. So, I want it to be for everyone. Because I am an addict in active recovery. I use the term active recovery because it's an ongoing thing, with lots of bumps on the road. So it's always something you need to be pursuing. That's why I call it active recovery. Because I myself recently had a relapse. I have had significant sober time, a little over a year before. That was the most. But I've had lots of little relapses here and there. And one of the relapses I just had is hopefully the last one. But this is an interesting case. My wife knew that sometimes I was taking stuff throughout these last 3 weeks. Mostly alcohol, also some sleeping stuff, and it would make me loopy, of course. And she knew, and I was trying to hide it because I went 20 minutes of a liquor store. So 20 minutes walking. So it's difficult because I have been very addicted to alcohol and other things. This time, I had relapsed on alcohol and some sleeping meds for that past 3 weeks, like drinking 3 times a week, that sort of thing. Trying to control it, which never, ever freaking works. Not when you're an addict. But I was coming back from the liquor store, and I had liquor down my pants. That's where I hid it. And I'm only walking there. I suddenly fell into a bush. I suddenly couldn't move. I was like, what happened? And I thought, I was like, I just drank 1/8 of the bottle. That's it. Can't be this drunk. And I kept wandering down the road and trying to stand, trying to move, but kept falling. I didn't know why. Like I said, I wasn't that drunk from 1/8 of a bottle of whiskey. And I eventually made it to a ditch where I just fell into and gave up. I had to call my wife, and she had to come try and help me. Of course, she saw the liquor pretty quick because I couldn't stand up all. And she unfortunately assumed that I had, of course, taken a bunch of drugs, drank a bunch of whiskey, and was just majorly drunk. Because she didn't know, because I was hiding stuff from her, but she knew stuff was going on. It's the way it works. So she's extremely upset with me, and she's scared to death that I'm doing something really terrible to myself, and I cannot talk. I cannot move. I start to become delirious. And she didn't know what was going on, and she had a friend of hers come and try and help me stand up, but I couldn't do it. No matter what I did, I would not stand up, and if they got me up, I started to be combative, which is exactly the word they use, and exactly the word is used in heat stroke. Delirious and combative. But they didn't know that at the time, but I'd had a massive heat stroke. And never really had one like that before. But so they kept trying to get me up and get me in the car, get me places, and I ended up being dragged around like a rag doll all over the apartment complex. Freaking spectacle. And just Oh, it hurt. But see, I was delirious. And half the time I thought I was in a dream fighting, the sleep paralysis demons, trying to get out of the dream. So that's why I would fight them. And I felt like they were dragging me out, humiliating me on purpose. But, you know, they weren't. I was just completely out of my mind and couldn't talk at all. I tried to explain something to them a couple of times, and I could not talk. The words were like majorly slurred, and my mouth didn't want to move either. Uh, and see, I got dragged around a lot, and I can't remember how this happened. Someone seen it, and the cops ended up showing up. And these cops, it's a very small town, knew Elizabeth and saw her upset. So they were not very nice to me because they thought I had done something like abused her or taken a bunch of freaking drugs, and spent at least an hour with them. They blood tested me. They asked me what I took. I'm like, I took some, Benadryl this morning, sleeping stuff, and I had a little bit of whiskey on the way there, but I can't really explain that to them. I tried. But yeah, they know my wife very well, and so they got really pissed off at me, just weren't being very nice at all. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong because I came back clean on the blood test. And I was kind of combative with them, but they understood. But I do remember sitting in one of the cars, and one of the cops, looks at me, and I look at him, and he starts going, "He's combative." So that was interesting. I remember I could talk a little bit at that point, and I had told him that his forearms are bigger than my head, and there was no way I was gonna fight him. But eventually they call the paramedics finally, and paramedics show up, and guess what? Small town. They also know Elizabeth, my wife, because she has been with them before when she has had her issues with addiction as well. So they see you're upset. Of course, they're not very nice to me either. Not quite as mean as the cops were trying to get me to fight them, at least. But at this point, I had had a seizure somewhere along the way and all this. Bitten the hell out of my tongue, which happens every time I have a seizure, really. And I've had well over a dozen throughout the past 6 years because of the constant on and off drinking. Heavy, intense drinking for like a month or two, and then going cold turkey. It's been really difficult, and also it's a stupid thing to do. But I run out of money. What do I do then? So anyway, I finally I'm in the ambulance, and like throw a picture up of that real quick. Yeah, that's what I looked like. I've had pictures like that before a couple of times when I've been in the hospital and major things, and I looked way worse than that, but it was still really painful to see that again. But yeah, okay, I get in the ambulance, and then the paramedics like, you know what? Give me the biggest needle possible. I'm gonna stick this guy. And I did see him. I laughed at that point, and he didn't use the biggest needle because he saw that I was coherent enough to at least get the joke. But they hit me with some Advan, I believe, and I woke up about 30 minutes later in the ambulance at the hospital, and because I was at a stretcher, of course, and I felt a lot better finally, and I was coherent. So I only stayed there 4 to 6 hours. They watched me to make sure, I didn't have any drugs in my system. They gave me fluids, and 4 to 6 hours, I was up and out of there. And no one caught that I had just had a massive heat stroke. Nobody. It's I call it a tragedy of errors, because that's what it was. And just ended up staying with my in-laws that night in their little RV, so we could sleep on the issues, because my in-laws are amazing. They're amazing people, and I love them. Very lucky to have them. And in the morning, we all talked. me and my wife talked, they listened, and we sorted everything out, and laid some conditions down I gotta follow for now to gain trust back, but I'm more than willing to do that because this is the furthest in life I've ever been at 34, in my own place with my wife, and it's something I'm fighting for and I'm keeping, and this isn't going to keep me down. I've used the word active recovery, the phrase active recovery, a lot, and I do believe all recovery has to be active recovery, and you're always pursuing it. If you are, you're always on the wagon, and when you fall off the wagon, you get back up, dust yourself off, and chase the damn thing down till you get back on it. That's how I've always seen it, or has started to see it. Or the past 3 years, I started to see it that way, and this was my last relapse. I just never said that before, but at this point, I have too much to lose, and it's helping me. And this is driving me. Her and I are better off for this now because the heat stroke made me get back on track before things really, really get out of hand, and I started to be drinking, a handle a day sort of shit. We're definitely better off for it, and we're great right now. And this has pushed me to do things like create this channel that I'll have, maybe some ranting and opinions on, but a big part's going to be recovery, and it'll be separate videos, and it will be for everyone because I got stories to tell. I got experiences. I want to get other people on here if I ever could. Mental health, addiction, any of that. It's all very interesting to me, and I hope to, maybe I can help some people, and other people can help me help some people, because this is important, and this is for everyone. Despite everything else, this is important for any addict or any person suffering mental health issues. None of the other stuff matters, and I've also got some plans for a film series I'm doing that I've had in the works for a while, sort of, and I'm actually getting a chance to do that. And I also am going to be with my brother, Donnie Disruptor, doing more of a funny, maybe clever sort of podcast with him, and but it will also cover recovery, because he is an addict too, and he's been sober 2.5 years at this point. He's coming up on 3 for sure, and that's impressive. But I'll let you tell that story. I'm not going to tell everything right away. So yeah, sorry if the audio is a little bad or the camera work isn't perfect. I'm still learning. I have been the last week working every day trying to get all this sorted out and look good, and do the little set, come up with the mains, because I like that, because I love film. So I like all the dramatic stuff. There's the Red Riding desk. It's not red, but it still looks pretty cool, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I want this to help people. I want to get maybe ideas I have about addiction out there. Talk about mental health. I'm not going to give you a bunch of ideas about what I think mental health is, because I'm not a psychologist, though I do want to go back to school to study psychology. That's besides the point. But addiction experiences, any wisdom I might have from doing this, I can't remember if I said this, but I was addicted to opium for 10 years, and I've been off that 6 years now, and had not touched it again. But I turned to drinking in that first few weeks, and that's what's been destroying my health. That's what's been going on and off, on and off, on and off. And this time I got too much to lose, and this is, like I said, this is why I created this channel now. I'm starting to do the things I've been wanting to do for so long with the help of my wife, and we're getting somewhere. She's also dealing with alcoholism. She's been sober almost 4 months now. The longest she's ever been sober, and she's been doing wonderful. And I was there for her when she was messing up, and she's now here for me when I messed up. So we are definitely good for each other, and this is it's a big dream of mine to do stuff like this. So that's I guess that's pretty much it. I'm gonna try and upload one of these every other day, maybe a couple times a week at least. See what's going on, and because I got to work on the podcast with my brother Donnie Disruptor, and also he's got a novel out, so we don't talk about the novel, obviously. We're all a bunch of alcoholic writers, I guess. So, yeah, I got a lot of stories, still got a lot of experience. I'd love to get out there, and I really want to talk to other people about it. So, yeah, I guess this first episode, I'm gonna stop now. Yeah, because I finally actually got the whole thing recorded this time and didn't screw up. So yeah, I'm stopping now. Please tell me that worked.